because it breaks relationships, it breaks communities apart, right? And what brings communities together, what brings families together, what brings brothers and sisters together is the opposite of that, which is to love for my brother or sister what I love for myself. Now, of course, this is based on a famous hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that I'm sure all of you have heard of. It's found in the 40 hadith collection of Imam al-Nawawi on the authority of Anas ibn Malik. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with him. That the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "La yu'minu ahadukum." You will not believe. You will not believe hatta until يُحِبَّ لِأَخِيهِ مَا يُحِبُّ لِنَفْسِهِ, until you love for your brother what you love for yourself. And this hadith is related by Bukhari and Muslim. And so loving for my brother what I love for myself is a requirement to have perfect iman. My iman is not perfect. My iman is deficient until I love for my brother what I love for myself. And if we look at the Brotherhood of Islam that was established by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam amongst the companions, it was based on this concept. And when we see how they lived their lives, we see example after example of them applying this principle. So for example, there's a story mentioned by some of the ulama that one of the Salaf, one of the early Muslims, he had a rat problem in his home. He had a problem with rats. And so somebody suggested to him, why don't you acquire a cat? Because if you acquire a cat, then it will solve your rat problem. And so he thought about it, but he decided not to do that. So the person who had given him that suggestion, he asked him, why didn't you do what I suggested you to do? And he said, you see, I thought about it, but then I was concerned that if I acquire the cat, the rats will run away and run into the neighbor's home. And then my problem will be transferred to the neighbor. And I don't want to do that. You see, this is the spirit. This is the spirit. Oftentimes what we do is the opposite. I will want something for myself even if it causes my brother an inconvenience. No, the spirit of Islamic brotherhood is to love for my brother what I love for myself. The Ansar of Medina were praised by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran for having this very quality. وَيُؤْثِرُونَ عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ وَلَوْ كَانَ بِهِمْ خَصَاصَةٌ. They are described in the Quran as preferring the muhajirin over themselves, even though they themselves are also in need. And so the Ansar, if they had something, they would rather give it to their brothers from the muhajirin than to use it themselves, even though they need it themselves. And these are the types of things that establish that bond of brotherhood that many of us simply pay lip service to. Now, if we truly mean this person is my brother, then this is the type of stuff that we're talking about. One time, somebody sent a gift to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. One of the Sahaba sent him a gift. What was the gift? The gift was, I'm sorry if this grosses out some of you, but this was a delicacy among the Arabs, and still is until today. The head of a sheep. The head of a sheep. It's a delicacy among the Arabs. So they sent it to the Prophet ﷺ so that he could enjoy that in a meal. And so the Prophet ﷺ told some of his household members to take it to one of the companions, to give it to him. And so it was taken to that companion. But then that companion, when he received it, he thought about his brother and he sent it to him. It went to a third home, and then a fourth home, and a fifth home. It went to 7 homes and eventually came back to home to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is mentioned by Al-Hakim and Al-Bayhaqi. Imam Al-Qurtubi mentions this in his tafsir as well. It's a real story. These are real instances from the lives of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ. This is a delicacy. I would love to eat it myself, but because I would love it for myself, I love this for my brother. I would rather that my brother enjoys this until it comes back to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Another story that's mentioned in this regard is Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, when he was Amirul Mu'mineen, when he was the Khalifa, and after some of the conquests, he had some money, so he made a bag full of dinars, of gold coins, and he sent it with a messenger to Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah in Sham. Go and give it to him. And so he takes it to Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah, and he gives it to him. Abu Ubaidah thanks him, he opens it, and then he starts to make smaller bags immediately. Starts to make smaller bags and asks some of his people to go and give it to this person, go and give it to this person, go and give it to this person, until he's left with nothing. This messenger comes back to Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, and he tells him the story. Umar ibn al-Khattab then gives him another bag, and he tells him, go take it to Mus'ab ibn Umair. So he takes it to the other companion, Mus'ab ibn Umair radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. He takes it to him, Mus'ab receives it, opens it, does the same thing, starts making smaller bags and starts sending them to this person, to this person, to this person. Now Mus'ab was married. So his wife, she said, Ya Mus'ab, we are also masakeen, give us some too. So by that time, he had already distributed all the gold dinars except 2. So he gave those 2 to his wife. And so the man goes back to Umar radiallahu ta'ala who tells him the story of Mus'ab. And when he hears it, he said, هَؤُلَاءِ إِخْوَةٌ بَعْضُهُم مِّن بَعْضٍ. Those are brothers. They're just like each other. Those are brothers. Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah, Mus'ab ibn Umair, both disciples of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they have drank from the same fountain. They're just like one another. You see, so this is how they learned from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Last story, inshallah, I don't want to take too much of your time, is one of the most beautiful stories of Ithar. It's a true story. At the Battle of Yarmouk, the Tabi'i who experienced this is the one who narrates this. There's a Tabi'i, he's going around at the Battle of, the Battle of Yarmouk. The Battle of Yarmouk was the great battle that was fought between the Muslims and who? Between the Muslims and? The Byzantines, right? The Byzantine Empire. The great battle against the Byzantine Empire, the superpower of the world. And so the Muslims naturally, even though they won the battle, there were losses on the battlefield. And so this Tabi'i, he has a container of water, and he knows that his cousin was injured in the battle. So he's looking for his cousin so that he can see if he's still alive, he can give him some water. And so he finds his cousin on the battleground, injured but alive. And so he runs to his cousin, he says, here, cousin, I have some water for you, drink some water. And he opens the mouth of the container, is about to give it to him, and they hear somebody crying for water. And so they turn their head, and just a few feet away, there is another man who is thirsty and injured and on the ground. So this man tells his cousin, go and give it to that man. Go and give it to that man. So the man runs to the other person, he's about to give it to him. They hear a third person. So this man looks at the third person and tells him, go and give it to him. The man runs to the third person. By the time he gets to him, he dies. He runs back to the second person. By the time he gets to the second person, he dies. And he runs back to his cousin. By the time he gets back to his cousin, he has also died. All of them shuhada fi sabilillah. Yani subhanallah. La yu'minu ahadukum. You will not truly believe. You want the iman of these people. You want the victory that Allah gave to these people. If we want that, then we have to bring back this sense of brotherhood in our communities. Instead of trying to take away somebody else's parking space in the masjid, give them your parking space. Love for your brother what you love for yourself. You want to park close to the masjid, let your brother park close to the masjid. Instead of fighting to be in the first row, give it up for your brother. Love for your brother what you love for yourself. Give it. إيثار يؤثرون على أنفسهم ولو كان بهم خصاصة. They prefer others over themselves even though they are in need themselves. Once we start doing this, my dear brothers and sisters, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will increase the love between us and unite us. And once we are united, victory will be ours. والله تعالى أعلم وصلى اللهم وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.